Be another election, that result respected as the last result should be respected.
John McNally.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister has put the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill on ice to allow time for a UK-EU deal to be struck. So can the Minister commit to the House a deal will be struck before April next year, and that this pro-Brexit dispute will not hamper Good Friday Agreement celebrations and the UK's international relations with America and the EU?
Tuesday.
I think I genuinely didn't think the honourable gentleman's question was that good. I think actually that the honourable gentleman should maybe imbibe a bit of Christmas festivities, because I think we should be more glass half full about the opportunities of a negotiated settlement to the protocol issue, which will benefit everybody and all parties in Northern Ireland.
Patricia Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Vice President of the European Commission said if there is a political will, issues around the Northern Ireland Protocol could be resolved within a couple of weeks. So will the Minister find the will to reach a solution and commit to a timeline for a deal, perhaps before the end of the 6-week extension to form an executive?
Hello and welcome to Not Safe for Work Prime Minister's Questions with Graham Hughes, which should be starting in a minute, with any luck. Let me know if the video's all right, the sound's all right, everything's in its right place. I don't get much definition behind my hat there. Okay, that completes those questions.
Point out the British Sign Language interpretation
Sign language interpreter.
To watch on Parliament Live TV.
That's Liverpool.
We start with questions to Prime Minister John Stevenson.
Number one, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the whole House will share my sorrow at the
Oh, fuck off. You fucking lying fucking prick. You fucking liar. You don't give a fuck. You've set up a system that slaughters children. You fucking monster.
Mr. Speaker,
Don't
this morning
pretend
I had
that you
meetings
care
with
about
ministerial
this.
colleagues and others, in addition to my
Fuck me
duties in this
sideways.
House, including the visit of His Majesty the King. I shall have further such
What a
meetings
fucking
later
rat
today.
bag.
John
Three people
Stevens.
killed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Because of
Prime
his
Minister,
migration policy.
3.5-hour
His
journey
heartless
takes 6 hours.
fucking migration
A straight
policy.
journey ends up with 2 changes and a diversion. A train is cancelled at short notice.
Yes,
this has
because
become the
it
experience
was
of the
privatised
West
by your
Coast rail
cunt party,
passengers.
mate. By your gang
If
of
Avanti do
fucking
not get their act
clanging
together,
cunts.
Will the government cancel their franchise?
What?
Very popular question.
Cancel them all. Cancel them all. Do you want something today?
Mr.
NNER,
Speaker, I thank my
which is
honourable
a
friend for
nationalised
raising this,
line
and
that runs
I
up the
share
East
the
Coast.
frustration that this is
Running
causing
today.
to many of his and other
It's running
communities.
today.
Our priority
That definition
immediately
is
is to
fine.
support
Thank you, John.
the restoration of services,
The restoration of the nationalisation of the railways. Not just privatising the profits and nationalising the costs like these fucking slimy little slime bags fucking do.
For delivering for passengers.
Fucking lying shitbag.
Leader of the Opposition.
It's the heavyweight, lightweight of the year. It's Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Have a go at him
Can
about
I
immigration.
join the
Go on,
Prime
quick.
Minister?
Have a go at him
Our
about the fact that
prayers
people are
go out
dying
to
in the
those
channel
who
needlessly because we don't
in the
allow
freezing
anyone
waters of the
to
Channel
come into this
last
country
night.
legally. Go on.
It's a reminder that the
Sorry,
criminal
not
gangs
legally.
running those
Everyone comes in
routes
legally.
put the lives of the desperate at risk.
No,
of
you
profit
put
from
them
their
at risk,
misery.
knobhead,
They
and your
must be
Tory
picked
mates
up
by
and
not
brought to
proposing
justice.
policies that allow people to
Mr.
apply
Speaker,
for asylum
tomorrow will
when
be
they're not in the
first ever
country.
Nationwide
Twat.
nurses strike. All the Prime Minister has to do to stop that is to open the door and discuss pay with them. If he did, the whole country would breathe a sigh of relief.
Pumped off. The shovel is my blood
Why
pressure.
won't he?
Sorry about that.
Mr. Speaker,
Faces mine as well.
we have consistently spoken to all the unions involved.
Consistently told everyone to fuck off. Yeah, you spoke to them. You picked up the phone and went, fuck off, and put the fucking phone down. That's what you did. You literally just did that. That's all you fucking did.
It's worth putting on record
Speaking
what
to
exactly
them.
we have done for
Yeah,
our
right.
nurses. Last year when everyone else in the public
I spoke
sector
to
had a
Rishi
public
Sunak the other
sector
day.
pay
Yeah, I shouted
freeze,
fuck
the
off at
nurses
him as he went
received a
past in his
3%
car.
pay
That
rise.
counts as speaking to him, apparently.
When the RCN asked for
didn't
more
really.
in-work
I would
training, we gave every nurse and midwife a
Did you?
£1,000 training budget.
Oh,
And
you're
when
so
they asked
kind
for
when you
nurses'
were cutting all the
bursaries,
training
we made
paces
sure that every nursing
and
student
charging
received
people
a £5,000 grant.
train
That's
to be a
because
nurse.
We do work constructively,
Oh yeah,
and we
do
will
work
continue to
constructively.
back
Right.
our nurses.
The absolute fucking minimum, the 1%.
Mr. Speaker,
Remember the
nurses
1%
going
doing
on
1%.
strike is a badge of shame for this government.
Yeah, it is.
Instead
if it had
of
any
showing
shame, mate,
leadership,
which
he's
it
playing
doesn't.
games with people's
Doesn't have
health.
any fucking shame.
And there is a human cost. Alex from Chester has been waiting for a
When will the
gallbladder
Penny
operation for
finally drop?
nearly
I don't know.
6 months.
I don't know.
He's in so much pain, he's been off school since then. His operation has already been cancelled twice.
Oh, thanks for the super chat,
His
Alexis.
mum, who I spoke to this morning, is worried sick.
£1,000 of training is nothing.
When
I know.
she heard that strikes could be called off, she was
Pay for
massively
consultant for the
relieved.
day.
She's desperate for the Prime Minister to
I'm
resolve
desperate to put the
this.
fucking heating on, mate.
All he needs to do is simply meet the nurses. Now, Alex's mum is listening to this. She doesn't want to hear him blaming everybody else.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
She
I'll go
doesn't
with them on
want
this.
his usual
Go on,
ducking of the
Starmer.
question.
Yeah.
She's tuned in now because she wants him to explain what is he going to do to resolve the nursing strike.
Yeah, here. Come on, what are you going to do, fuckwit? What are you going to
Mr.
do,
Speaker,
Frogglebox?
It's not just Alex. There are
Come
millions
on.
of others across this country.
Come on.
Alex and Mark. Millions of others who will have their healthcare disrupted
limpet
because of the
salad.
strike.
Fuck off.
The honourable gentleman says to get round the table, but we
Yeah,
all know what that means,
go on.
Mr. Speaker.
What are you gonna
That
do?
is just simply a political formula for avoiding taking a position.
Stand
on
up,
this
sir.
issue.
Oh, he is standing. Well, that's not a flattering angle, is it?
If he thinks the strikes are wrong, he should say so.
What? He doesn't think they're wrong. He thinks you're wrong for
it's
causing the
right,
strikes. Look at this
if he thinks
cunt!
it's
Look at this
right
cunt
that
smirking
pay
like a little
demands of
fucking blobfish.
19% are
Blobfish
met,
witch
then he should say
tits.
so. What's weak,
sitting on my
Mr.
hat.
Speaker, is he's not strong enough to stand up to the union.
Yes. Get rid of me people from other countries, but not me.
We know it's Christmas, but the party's not started yet.
They're going to do jack shite. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker,
Like that.
Mr. Speaker, in
gonna do Boris
12
fuck all.
hours' time, there's a nurses' strike.
Well, these are taking it seriously.
All
They've
he
got the
needs
serious
to do
faces on
is
Rachel
meet the
Reeves
nurses. His inaction speaks
Angela
volumes.
Rayner.
As ever with
And on
this
the other
Prime
side,
Minister,
you've got
it's
that fucking
Tory
rich tit
politics first,
blobfish going.
patience second.
I swear a
We've
Bateman
never
impression.
seen a nurses' strike like this before. They've been forced into it because the government has broken the health system. Ask
Yes.
anyone in the NHS.
Yes.
They will tell you they don't have enough
Yes.
staff. 133,000
We really are at the bottom of the barrel. We
vacancies.
really are.
And there's an obvious solution. Scrap the non-dom status and use the money
Yeah.
to bring through the next
Yeah, go
generation
on,
of
scrap.
doctors and nurses.
Scrap the non-dom
That's what Labour
status.
would do. Why hasn't he got the guts to do it?
That's because his wife will shout at him. She's probably taller than him
Mr.
as well.
Speaker, we're already investing
scared me,
billions
wife. She
more
puts
in
me
the
in her pocket.
NHS. We're already hiring thousands more doctors and nurses.
What?
But,
To replace the ones that
he
your
also
party got rid of!
About backlogs and the waiting times
Fucking
in the
arsehole.
NHS. And yes,
Fuck
what he
off.
always fails to acknowledge is the impact that
Fail,
COVID
fail,
did,
fail,
Mr. Speaker.
fail.
That's why we're
That's all you
facing
do.
pressure.
That's all you
But we
do. You
have
just
a plan.
fail.
Not just
You
more
talk about
money,
delivering
not just more
stuff.
doctors and
You're a
nurses.
fucking
We
failed
need
delivery
diagnostic
driver.
centres, carrying
You
out
knock when they know
millions
they're
of
not
checks
in.
and
You leave a
scans.
little
New
message
surgical
saying that
hubs,
we left a
delivering
parcel
more
for you, but
active
she didn't
surgery.
leave, and it wasn't
But
even the
if
right
we
fucking
listened
house.
to him, Mr. Speaker,
Gobshite!
the backlog would still be growing, and
What,
that's because
because-
we'd
what?
still be in
What?
lockdown.
Why would we still be in lockdown?
As usual,
What
Mr.
the
Speaker,
fuck is he
tries
on
to
about?
blame everyone else. His department.
No country in the world, not
his
even
department
China is in fucking
commissioned a
lockdown
report to the
anymore.
NHS, which reported
my
on Monday.
God.
That report said.
Oh
we've
my
had
God,
10
my
years of
fucking
managed
giddy
decline.
aunt.
It
Oh,
was
it's
not
COVID did it.
Responsibility is
It was the
sitting right
COVID
there.
one did it.
And the
It was the
reason he
Putin.
can't choose nurses over
Never
non-doms
Brexit, is it?
because he's too weak to stand
Never the
up for
fucking
tax
useless
avoiders.
Tory fucking party. Yeah.
For 12 years,
Stand up
they
against
haven't trained
tax
enough
avoiders.
doctors and nurses. So we have the absurd situation
Yeah.
of the NHS spending billions on agency workers to fill
Agency
the gap.
workers.
Why
Yeah,
should
thanks,
the
Lee, I
country
fucking will.
have to put up with money that should be spent
2
treating
years of the
patients
Tories. No, we
being
don't have to.
wasted
We could just,
plugging gaps instead?
destroy them.
Prime Minister,
Mr. Speaker, let me tell the honourable
take to the
gentleman what we
streets.
are doing. We are actually
Don't be sick or
listening
poor in this
to
country
the
and end up dead, yeah.
independent pay review bodies.
Oh, right. Oh, well done.
They want to
Well
undermine
done.
them. We've
You want
offered
to what?
a fair pay deal.
What?
They can't
No,
even
you
decide
haven't.
on a number.
No, you haven't. You've offered them a pay
themselves.
cut. That
We're
is
actually
not.
protecting the
That is
public,
not a pay
they're
deal
protecting their
that
pay
the
masters,
nurses
Mr.
or the
Speaker.
railway workers or the fucking coffee
Working
makers are
people
going to
in
take.
this country, for working people in this
Working
country,
people.
it's
You've
Labour's
never
nightmare
met a working person, you horrible little toff! You aristocratic fuckbag!
Everything is fine. Try
Fuck
telling
off.
that to those on waiting lists or
Hey,
those
that's
that can't
Winchester.
afford to pay for a next
I was
day
a police
GP
whack.
appointment. After 12 years of Tory failure,
And nothing
winter
working
has
class
arrived for our
person
public
wants.
services.
They
And
wanted
we've
to
got a
shake
Prime
my hand.
Minister who has curled up
I didn't
in a
shake the
ball
hand,
and
obviously,
gone into
but
hibernation.
I washed my hands afterwards, just in case.
If-
My hand was thinking about it.
If he can't act on behalf of patients or nurses or everyone who wants these strikes called off, then surely the whole country is entitled to ask, what is the point of him and what is the point of the government he's supposed to be leading?
Yeah, what is the point of you? You weak, ineffectual leader.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about COVID not having an impact. Ambulance waiting times for Category 1. Category 1 ambulance waiting times in February of 2020 were actually completely on target, Mr. Speaker.
What?
COVID has had
What?
an impact.
What?
And
My
that's
friend
why-
had to wait for
that's why
fucking
that's
2
why-
hours this fucking weekend! 2 fucking hours for an ambulance, you cunt! You rat-faced fucking cunt! 2 fucking hours! And you have the fucking gall to stand in Parliament and brag about ambulance waiting times? 2 fucking hours! What a cunt! What an absolute fucking
the
cunt!
worst A&E times in the country, Mr.
What?
Speaker.
What? That's you!
Mr.
That's
Speaker,
on
under the
you!
last Labour government, we had fair pay for nurses and no strikes. So I
Yeah,
won't
no
be
strikes.
taking lectures from him about that.
He always says that. I won't be taking lectures.
Order. Mr. Bowie, you promised
like
to
that
behave.
expression,
Don't give me
I
a
don't
Christmas
think.
present you won't want. Come on, here's that.
It's like you're on fucking
Mr.
Clap
Speaker,
for
this
Strikers
is our
every
final
Thursday
PMQs
at
of the
8
year.
p.m.
So I
Yes,
hope you
Alexis,
will
let's do it.
Oh, really? I hope you will.
And thank you for the super chat.
Mr. Speaker, what I was going to say was I hope you will pass on all of our thanks, at least on this side, to all those who kept our house and our democracy working. And I want to finish this year thinking about our friends in Ukraine. As a result of Putin's barbaric assault on their freedom, millions will spend Christmas in sub-zero temperatures without heating, electricity or hot water. Their suffering is unimaginable, but their bravery is awe-inspiring. So will the Prime Minister join me in saying that whatever other difficulties and disagreements we have across this dispatch box, we are and will remain united in our unwavering
Softball
support
question.
for
Come on.
Ukraine's freedom,
Come on, it's a
its
softball
liberty,
question, Keir.
and its victory.
Merry Christmas.
Well, Mr. Speaker, can
Well,
I join
Mr.
with
Speaker,
the
we're-
honourable
we're-
gentleman
we're
in
sponsored
thanking and
by
paying
the
tribute to
Russian
all the
government.
staff of the House for the fantastic work that they do to support all of us. And I appreciate his
here.
comments on Ukraine. There's
Working
been a point
for
of
the
incredible
Russians. Here we
unity
go.
across this House and indeed the country. Something that we can all be proud of in our country,
What,
that
like
we have
the
stood
fact that
behind
your
Ukraine in
party
its hour
made
of need. And as I
a
said
Russian
yesterday,
fucking-
this
the
Christmas,
son of a
many
Russian
families
agent,
will
he
be
made
laying
him
an extra
a-
place at
what
their
was it,
Christmas
Lord
table.
Lebedev
And that speaks
of
to the
Siberia.
generosity and compassion of our nation.
Generosity
And
of
long
your
may that
fucking Russian
continue.
donors and you still take money off. And your wife,
you,
who
Mr.
still makes £1
Speaker.
million a year
The
from her
A3 connects
company
London
that
to
still
Portsmouth through
operates in
Guildford,
fucking
and I was delighted
Russia.
to see the new Solent Freeport announced last week, which will increase traffic flows.
No, we won't.
As
What the
A3
fuck?
narrows
What are you
through Guildford,
talking
it is
about,
sadly
you
the
fucking
most
arse?
polluted road
Angela
in the strategic
Richardson.
road network.
Fucking what
Short-term
the fuck?
sticking
What is the
plasters like
point of
putting up
you?
9-metre-high
What
air
is the
pollution
point
barriers
of you?
that will entrench divisions in Guildford is not acceptable to me or my
not acceptable.
constituents. Does my right honourable friend agree
Not
with
in
me
my
that it is time to
backyard.
think big, it is time to think long-term, and it is time to tunnel the A3 under Guildford?
Prime Minister.
Well, can I thank my
Fuck
I
Guildford.
thank my honourable
Gives a
friend
fuck
for the
about
question.
Guildford.
I know this is an issue that she has long championed.
Yeah.
I am told that National
Not
Highways
in my
are developing
backyard.
a range of different possibilities and solutions
How about
for the A3
how about
through Guildford,
you
and I know
invest
the Department
in
for Transport will
in
consider the
green
case
energy?
as it plans its future
How about you
infrastructure investments.
invest in green
SNP
energy
leader Stephen Flynn.
instead of fucking digging a fucking tunnel?
I wish to
Elon
join
Musk.
with the Prime Minister and the Leader of Opposition in extending
Lurch.
my party's
Oh, I like Scottish
thoughts
Lurch.
to all of those involved
Sorry,
in the
it's me.
terrible tragedy in the Channel this morning. Mr. Speaker, thanks to positive and proactive negotiations between the Scottish Government and Unite and Unison health unions, a pay settlement has been reached and strike action averted. By stark contrast, the UK Health Secretary appears completely unwilling to negotiate with unions on pay, and strike action is very much still on the table. So may I ask the Prime Minister, when will he see the error of his ways and follow the Scottish Government's lead?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm glad the UK Government was able to provide £1.5 billion in extra funding to the Scottish Government for public services. The Health Secretary and other ministers have engaged fully, not just with the unions, but with an independent pay-setting process, which takes the politics out of the process and ensures that we can meet those independent requirements with a fair pay deal.
Stephen Flynn! Mr. Speaker, let's be clear, those words will ring hollow in the ears of those people who, unlike the Prime Minister, can't nip into Waitrose for their shopping, nor indeed even turn on their heating at this moment in time. And that's particularly true for people in Scotland, because as we know, average energy bills in Scotland are not anticipated to be £2,500 per year. They're expected to be £3,300 per year. People are genuinely terrified, and that's despite the fact that Scotland produces 6 times more gas than we consume, with some 80% of our electricity coming from low-carbon sources. Decades of failed UK energy and regulatory policy coming home to roost. Is it not the case that Scotland has the energy?
It's years of failure. Everything that's going wrong at the moment is because of years of Tory
Mr. Speaker,
failure.
I'm glad the Honourable Gentleman raised the question of energy support, and it's because of the actions of this government that we are providing every household in this country with around £900 of support with their energy bills this winter, £55 billion worth of support. And on top of that, next year, there will be extra cost of living payments worth up to £1,200 for the most vulnerable, whether that's those on means-tested benefits, pensioners, or indeed disabled. This is a government that will always look after the most vulnerable in our society.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As my right honourable friend will know, the Mayor of London, despite objections, has decided to expand the ULEZ zone across all London boroughs, which will massively impact my constituents and those who share a border with London. Will he therefore urgently speak to the Transport Secretary and encourage him to use the powers at his disposal to reverse this disastrous decision?
My honourable friend will know that transport in London is devolved to the Labour Mayor of London, but it is disappointing that the Mayor, backed by the Leader of the Opposition, is choosing not to listen to the public. The zone is being expanded against the overwhelming views of residents and businesses, and I'd urgently consider the Mayor and the gentleman opposite to be on the side of hard-working Londoners.
David! Can I associate myself and my party with the comments made by others on the tragedy in the Channel? Our thoughts and prayers are with the families' victims. Mr. Speaker, 40% of cancer patients now wait more than 2 months for treatment after an urgent referral from a GP.
2 months.
That's the highest proportion on record and way above the government's own cancer waiting target.
Absolutely fucking disgraceful.
I lost both my parents to cancer as a child. And so, like many people across the country and in this House, I know the devastating impact of treatment delays on cancer patients and their families. So I'd like to ask the Prime Minister 2 questions. First, can he give a cast iron guarantee that the dreadful cancer backlog won't get any worse? And second, when will the government meet its own cancer target?
Prime Minister, stick that in your fucking craw.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very sorry to hear about the right honourable gentleman's parents. Indeed, I'm sure many of us across this House
you don't have any emotions. You're a
have
fucking robot.
As our families have been tragically
fucking
affected
robot.
by what cancer does, and he's right to raise the importance of meeting our targets.
Weak
And what I am
lord,
able to tell him is we actually are experiencing very high numbers of cancer referrals following the pandemic. He'll be aware of that. But thanks to the brilliant work of our NHS staff, cancer treatment rates in the most recent month for which we have data are now back at pre-pandemic levels with a plan for them to increase further. And recently the NHS also announced plans to fast-track patients direct to cancer tests rather than have to wait for specialist consultation first. These measures will make a difference, and I look forward to updating on them in the new year.
When they were in charge and you could see your doctor on the morning that you wanted to see your doctor? Remember that? Do you want that back? Do you want that back? To get these Tory cunts out.
Banking service. So I was pleased when I heard the announcement that he was to get a banking hub.
Like she gives a
Unfortunately, my delight was short-lived. When on closer inspection I saw that it was Cheadle, Staffordshire.
Fucking arsehole.
Whilst I remain pleased for the other Cheadle, would my right honourable friend agree with me that my constituents also need access to cash and banking facilities to protect businesses and support our high street? And will he support our local calls for post office banking hubs?
Prime Minister. My honourable friend is a fantastic champion for Cheadle in
only a 2,300 majority, so she's not going
to
to be there much longer, mate.
Services and Markets Bill
She's not
will
going to be there
establish
much
a
longer.
legislative framework for protecting access to cash, and alongside this, firms are already working to provide shared services, as she mentioned, like bank hubs. But what I would encourage my honourable friend to do is to contact Link, which can undertake an independent assessment of a community's cash access needs and determine if shared facilities are appropriate.
Vivian Hamilton.
What a fucking disgrace.
Mr. Speaker, my constituent Sharon has an 11-year-old daughter who suffers from eating disorders and severe anorexia. She was forced to spend a year in hospital in Sheffield, 40 miles away, because there were no beds in Leeds for children with those eating disorders. This, Mr. Speaker, is completely unacceptable. So will the Prime Minister now commit to ensuring that NHS mental health provision for young people is dramatically improved so that no other family has to ever again endure similar trauma?
Minister. Well, first of all, can I say to Sharon and her family, I'm sorry about what she's experienced. The honourable gentleman makes an excellent point. Mental health funding, as he knows, is increasing, so we ensure parity of service. He's also right to raise the issue of eating disorders. It's something that provision is currently expanding for. I think 2,000 more children were given the treatment and advice and support they needed last year, and there are plans to go further because it's an issue that needs tackling.
Tumbling under the Guildford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Police Constable Nicola Hughes and PC's Fiona Bone were savagely murdered in Manchester whilst on duty a decade ago. Nicola's dad, Bryn, is my constituent. He lives in Marsden. He was in Parliament again last week, continuing his campaign for emergency service workers and police officers who die whilst on duty to be awarded the Elizabeth Medal posthumously.
God, what difference
does my right honourable friend agree with me and Bryn that now is the time to commemorate and honour our brave police officers and emergency service workers who make the ultimate sacrifice by awarding posthumously the Elizabeth Medal?
Okay. Prime Minister.
I thank my honourable friend for his question, and I thank his constituent Bryn for his campaigning. Every life lost in the line of duty is a tragedy, and we remember the lives and service of PC's Nicola Hughes and Fiona Bone. We are determined, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that sacrifice that police officers and other public service officers make is recognised, and we are carefully considering the best and most appropriate ways to do this.
Kirsty Blackman.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. Across these islands, people are suffering because of the woefully inadequate policies of this UK Tory government. They've crashed the economy, left millions in fear of the cold this winter, and are stoking division over striking workers rather than negotiating fair pay deals. Why is it that the only people that can rely on this Prime Minister are questionable PPE suppliers in the House of Lords, bankers, and former Prime Ministers getting taxpayer-funded handouts to defend their partying through COVID?
Mr. Speaker, the only people stoking division in our United Kingdom are the party opposite.
Question 12, sir.
Prime Minister.
God, it's fabricant.
Mr. Speaker, our priorities are growth, investing in public services and giving businesses the confidence they need to invest. I look forward to discussing this with the Mayor of the West Midlands.
Vital fabricant.
Mr. Speaker, when my right honourable friend, the
Fuck
Prime
off!
Minister recently visited...
Fuck off, you
the
joke
National
of a man!
Memorial
What the
Arboretum,
fuck is that on
he
your
was
head?
slightly late.
What the fuck is
But
that
I
on your
don't
head,
blame him
mate?
because
The
he had
fucking
to
the dog
come
from the
by
parish
road.
is on the phone.
Now,
Want its
my
fucking
friend,
head
the
back.
Mayor of the West Midlands is supporting
Fucking what?
an extension of the cross-city line from Birmingham using an existing freight line to make it into a rail service to the National Memorial Arboretum and beyond. So, may I ask my right honourable friend, will he revisit the National Memorial Arboretum again, see the Armed Forces Memorial,
The fuck?
and also come
We're
to
giving
Lichfield and
they're
see
talking
why
about
we need
doing a
an
tunnel that's never going to happen. They're doing fucking medals, and now he's talking about fucking trees. What the fuck? We need an arboretum, old chap. Fucking hell, people are freezing to death in their own homes, and he's waiting 2 hours for a fucking ambulance. Waiting fucking 2 months for a cancer referral, and he's talking about fucking arboretums. Fuck off. Fucking gobshite.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is now well over 3 years since the Conservatives promised the end no-fault evictions. Enfield has the highest rate of Section 21 evictions in London. 30 families in my constituency in the last month alone were made homeless as a result of Section 21. I have families sat in my office trying to keep warm as we try to find them emergency accommodation. Will the Prime Minister scrap this shameful legislation? If so, when?
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Lady will know that we have announced plans to do that and we await parliamentary time. But it's not the only thing we are doing to protect renters, Mr. Speaker. We have passed legislation already to protect tenants from rip-off fees, and we've capped holding deposits because we want to make sure that renters do have the protections that they require.
Oh, right,
and they
right,
have decent homes to rent.
Renters being thrown out on the streets, no fault evictions, done nothing about.
Small modular reactors are a hugely important part of our future energy mix. And this Conservative government realised that when it awarded Rolls-Royce nuclear section based in my constituency a grant of £210 for development. But there's still no clarity or plan for moving from development to deployment. Will the Prime Minister come with me to meet Rolls-Royce to discuss how to move things forward and ensure the UK benefits from this exciting opportunity?
Well, my honourable friend makes an excellent point. I'm delighted that government has awarded £210 million to Rolls-Royce SMR last year for research and development. This does have the potential to benefit the UK and support our energy security and climate goals. I look forward to getting updates and from working with my honourable friend to see this fantastic new technology come to life.
Why can't we produce energy from our wind on land? Why can't we do
When my
that?
constituent who has dementia was taken ill recently, it took 3 hours for an ambulance to arrive. He then spent 10 hours in the back of an ambulance outside A&E, queuing to get in. And the doctor said to him, "I'm so sorry, we're treating you out of the back of a truck." But as we've heard, the King's Fund has said that the government has presided over a decade of neglect of managed decline in the NHS.
Yeah.
So isn't it the Prime Minister, not that doctor, who should be apologising?
Yes. Here.
Well, Mr.
3
Speaker,
hours.
that same King's Fund report
Literally
also
had that
acknowledged
experience at the
there was
weekend.
40%
2 hours
more
waiting for my
funding
friend
going
to
into
get
the
an ambulance.
NHS under this Conservative government.
2 hours.
But we do need to make sure
Two
that that
fucking
funding makes a
terrifying
difference.
hours.
That's why this
And when
winter,
the ambulance
£500
finally got
million
there,
is being
it was
deployed
like,
to move people
we're so sorry,
out of hospital
but
beds
it's the way
into
it is.
social care
Because of
to speed
12
up those
years
discharges
of these
specifically so
absolute
that ambulances won't be
clanging
queuing as much as they
cunts being
currently
in charge
are,
of
and
our
that money is
country.
already making a difference
They're
on the
fucking
ground.
useless.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The community in Kingshurst, which I represent, has suffered an unimaginable tragedy earlier this week when 4 children fell through the ice at Babsmill Lane. Sadly, 3 of the children did not survive, and one, a 6-year-old, is fighting for his life. They and their families are all in my thoughts and prayers. Will my right honourable friend pay tribute to the community in Kingshurst, which has come together and is supporting each other to get through this tragedy? And will he recognise the heroic efforts of the emergency services, including the police officer who used his bare hands to try and break through the ice and then jumped in the water with fire service personnel without the PPE, risking their own lives to save the young children?
Prime Minister.
I thank my honourable friend, and can I send my condolences to the family and friends of all of those who lost their lives. I also join him in paying tribute to our emergency services for, as he said, their incredibly selfless actions.
I'm sure
this
these
whole
gobshites are kind of
event
like, oh, well,
has completely shocked the
health
local
and safety
community,
gone mad.
and I know that my honourable friend will continue to do all he
thin ice.
can to support his constituents at this difficult
This
time.
government hates us, absolutely. How many times has
Mr. Speaker, this year the Tory
said
party
sorry
has
during
given us
PMQs?
5
Never.
education secretaries, 4 chancellors, 3 prime ministers,
2 calling beds,
coups,
and a partridge in a pear tree.
and Mr. Speaker, the partridges had to sell the pear tree to pay the gas.
Excellent. Well done. Good shot there, Angela.
So, Mr. Speaker, isn't it the case that after a year of Tory chaos, incompetence and self-indulgence, the best Christmas present the Prime Minister could give to the British people is a general election?
Yeah! Actually, no, we don't want a general election just yet. Can we wait till it's warmer, please? We don't want to be doorstepped by people who have to get the door open for when it's freezing cold outside. Don't have an election in the winter.
With that than before, Mr. Speaker.
Have an election in the winter.
All I'd say,
I love the
I'd say
eagle.
when it comes to what the British people need this Christmas, Mr. Speaker, in order to ease the disruption on their lives, the best thing that the party opposite could do is tell their union bosses to call off these damaging strikes.
Why would they even listen to Labour, even if Labour called for that? It's up to the Tories to stop the strikes.
After the Second World War, Winston Churchill sent British Conservative lawyers to help to draft the European Convention on Human Rights, and that's something that we can be proud of in this country.
Yeah, and then we're going to pull out of it.
But in an age of mass migration, the ECHR is now limiting our abilities to control our borders.
You fucking cunt. Fuck off, cunt. Fuck off, cunt. That fucking Freddy Krueger.
Does the Prime Minister agree he should do as Churchill
Go
did?
fuck yourself.
Draft a new framework for refugees and human rights, including legal...
Yeah, which doesn't allow them in.
But one way or another, and if necessary alone, we must be prepared to leave the ECHR.
What a fucking cunt. Eton, by the way. Eton. He went to Eton. He's actually the son, apparently, of...
Mr. Speaker, as I told the House yesterday,
from
our new legislation will deliver a system whereby a person who comes here illegally will have no right to stay and will be removed to their own country or a safe third country alternative. That is the system that the British people want to see. That's a system that we will deliver, and I look forward to hearing whether the party opposite will support it.
Want the election now. That gives us no business squatting in the PM's chair.
As temperatures are plummeting,
I know, but
and
it's
the
so
cost of living
cold.
crisis is deepening.
People
Ordinary
have
families
got better
are
things to do
facing
than
a
to fucking vote
Dickensian
right now,
nightmare across the
unfortunately.
country this Christmas.
Yeah,
Mortgage
Dickensian
bills
nightmare.
are soaring, household repossessions are up, and nearly 500,000 tenants face the threat of eviction after falling behind on their rent.
Yeah, it's limiting
Too
the
many
Tories'
people
ability to break the
are
law.
worrying about where they and
But we
their
just had some
children
posh
will wake
twat
up on
from Eton
Christmas
stand up
morning.
and say,
So
well,
will
we
the
need to
Prime
kick the
Minister
ladder away,
agree
don't
to a
we?
temporary ban over the festive
Can't let
period
the plebs
on
into the
repossessions
country.
and evictions so that nobody has to
Gobshite.
live in fear of losing their home this Christmas?
Mr. Speaker, we provide a range of support to both homeowners and tenants who are in difficulty already. But the most important thing we are doing to financially support them through the winter is by providing almost £900 of support with their energy bills, on top of all the additional support for those who are most vulnerable, including pensioners. That demonstrates the actions of this government to help the country get through what we acknowledge is a challenging time.
Stephen Crabb.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, at 9:30, you'll lead this House in a 1-minute silence to mark 80 years since the British government recognised that the Holocaust was taking place in Nazi-occupied Europe. As we come together to mark that moment, will the Prime Minister join me in praising the Holocaust Educational Trust
The Holocaust was bad.
and the extraordinary survivors who continue to do amazing work, ensuring that the next generation
I don't mean to sound
understand
glib,
and
right?
learn the
But
lessons
this
from the
isn't
past.
a question that we should be asking the Prime Minister right now. Do you know what I mean?
Mr. Speaker, 80
It's Prime Minister's
years
questions.
ago, Parliament
And
listened
instead of
in
saying, what
stunned
the fuck are you
silence as
doing?
the truth
They're basically
of the
saying the Holocaust
spoken
was
in this
bad,
House
which
for
of
the
course
very
it
first
fucking
time.
was. An
So it's
absolute
absolutely right that you,
tragedy
Mr.
at
Speaker,
one of the
lead a
darkest
moment of
moments
silence in
in
which we will
humanity's
stand
history.
together to remember and
but
reaffirm that truth.
I don't know. This feels like opening a supermarket or something.
To the work of the Holocaust Educational Trust, and it could not be more fitting that Britain's Holocaust Memorial
and that's why we've
Centre
empowered the
should be built
Nazis of
right
this
next
country
door
since the
to here
Brexit
to
vote and our
Parliament. We must
divisive
never
rhetoric
forget the
about
Holocaust,
refugees.
and we must stamp out anti-Semitism and prejudice
really?
in all its forms,
Good luck with
wherever
that.
we find it.
Good luck with
Chris
that.
Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Caerphilly County Borough Council recently announced a £3 million cost of living hardship fund to help those most in need in Islwyn across our county borough. Does the Prime Minister think it's right that local authorities are forced to cover the costs of 12 years of economic mismanagement by this Tory government?
Prime Minister.
Using things like the Holocaust to hide behind.
Mr. Speaker, what the honourable gentleman fails to acknowledge is that because of the actions of this UK government, not only
does the Prime Minister
are we
agree with me that this
supporting
horrible
people
thing is horrible?
in Wales
Yes.
and across the United Kingdom with help with their energy bills, we've also provided £1.2 billion of extra funding for the Welsh Government to use to give to local authorities to support their constituents, and he would do well to acknowledge the benefits of the United Kingdom and the actions of the UK government.
We have a record 4,000 newly qualified doctors training to be GPs, which is really excellent. But we do have an issue with retention,
there's
which
either
is made
gammon or
even worse in
undertakers. Have
areas
you
like
noticed
mine,
this?
which have
Like
extremely
all
high
Tories, they either look
housing
like
growth.
gammon or
As the son of a
undertakers. This is an
GP,
undertaker one.
What will the Prime Minister do to
There's only
fix
two
this?
varieties.
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I know this is an issue that my honourable friend has talked and championed for a long time, and he's right to do so. We do have record numbers of GPs in training at the moment. We're also making sure that we support primary care appointments and primary care access. And I know that my honourable friend, the Health Secretary and Chancellor, are looking at how best we can increase retention, particularly with regard to pensions, and I look forward to getting his suggestions.
Final question, Wendy Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In a written response from the DWP, it was confirmed to me that an unpaid carer earning more than £132 a week in their job is classed as being in gainful employment, and as a result loses their carer's allowance of £69.70
All right, see you later, Plum
Now,
Dove.
caring doesn't stop. It never stops. So can the Prime Minister explain to me the rationale of this decision, given that we are trying to get economically inactive people back into work? And secondly, can he explain why it's his government's position that £132 a week is enough for people to live on?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, can I first start by paying tribute to those up and down the country who give up so much of their time to care for others. And I'm actually delighted that the government is supporting the honourable member's bill, which will give a week of highly flexible paid leave to unemployed carers. I think it's the right thing to do, and I'm grateful that the Honourable Lady is taking it forward. The carers allowance is a means-tested benefit. It's part of many other benefits that are available to support people, and as I've said, right now there is significant support in place for people through Christmas with their energy bills.
Complete Prime Minister's questions. Just let the House clear.
Energy bills. You're earning £9,000 a year. Fucking cunts. Right. Anyway, so that ends another bastard fucking Prime Minister fucking MP Prime Minister fucking question time. Right. I will grow, not before your very eyes, but I will grow slowly but surely. If I just find the right bloody button. Find the right button, Graham. There we go. Right, and then hello, I'm still tiny in the corner. I need to be made bigger. Can you all make me bigger, please? Can you make me bigger? Can you make me? That sounds a bit rude, doesn't it? Ooh, I've been made bigger now. Thank you for embiggening me. I'm just gonna move over slightly to one side. There you go. Happy days. Right, I can turn this shit off now. Right, how you doing? Really tragic news today about 3 people drowning in the Channel because of the Tories. Because the Tories have this rule where it says that if you want to claim asylum, you literally have to be on our soil. You have to be on our territory in order to claim asylum. If you're not on our territory, you're fucked. You're fucked, mate. You're fucked. You can't apply for asylum if you're an African fleeing war, persecution, whatever. There's nowhere for you to apply. You can't go to the you could go to the embassy in, say, Nairobi and in Kenya and say, hey, can I please have a little bit, can I have a little bit of love here? And they'll go, no. They'll say no. They'll send you on your way. I met someone whose job it was literally to do that in a British embassy in Africa, or maybe it was a High Commission, part of the Commonwealth. So it would be the High Commission, and they basically just said no to everyone. They said no to everyone, no matter what. They said no. No. How do I get asylum in the UK then? Well, you have to literally travel thousands of miles up through the Sahara. Then you've got to somehow get across the Med. And then you've got to trek all the way across Europe to Calais. And then you've got to get on a little tiny rickety boat in the middle of winter in icy waters. And I hope it doesn't sink, because if it does, you're fucked. And that's the only way I can claim asylum. Yes, that's the only way you can claim asylum in this country. Oh, didn't Britain sign up to take in refugees? Yes, we did. We did. I think it was Article 14 of the International Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, was it? And the UN? Yeah. After the Second World War, after the horrors of the Second World War, we said, we're not going to do that again. Because you know the kinder transport that we talk about, where we talk about the fact that we took in all these Jewish children from Europe and we saved their lives. That was nice, wasn't it? What happened to their parents? Anyone know? Anyone know what happened to their mums and dads? Their parents? Oh, we left them to the Nazis, didn't we? We left them to die. We left them to be gassed. We left them to be beaten or shot to death by the Nazis. We left the women to be raped by the Nazis and for them to be butchered by the Nazis. We left them there. Why? Because we don't like foreigners. And what the fuck has changed? What the fuck has changed the last 80 years? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What have we learnt? Nothing. And these Tory fuckers, like that posh Eton cunt who stood up and said, well, I think that we just should, although we did come up with the Declaration of European Human Rights, I think we should just, sack it off. Humans, do they deserve rights? Not if they didn't go to Eton, obviously. Tory party policy. Sorry. Your name's not down, you're not getting in. And unfortunately, this mind virus has infected so many horrible little gammony fucks, like the people. There was a guy who rang in LBC this morning on the James O'Brien show who was a little gammony fuck. And I thought James O'Brien was too kind on him in a way. I would have just given him down the fucking banks. But he said all the bullshit that people always trot out about people coming over in the little boats and they're all coming from Albania. They're not coming from Africa. Pretty sure the black ones are coming from Africa. Pretty sure the brown ones are coming from, I don't know, Central Asia. Asia. I don't think they're coming from Albania. Just personally, call me a racist, but I just don't think they are. Maybe they are Albanians, maybe they're black Albanians. It would be a bit weird, but a lot of the refugees that we're getting are coming from the Middle East, are coming from Africa. Understandably, because there are regimes there, like the regime of Eritrea or the regime at the moment in Libya, which is not conducive to a healthy or long-lived life by any stretch of the imagination. But we made special rules for people fleeing from Afghanistan, months after the event. We also made special rules for people coming from Syria, in fact, some of them. And Hong Kong. Anyone who wants to get from Hong Kong to the UK and claim asylum, they can. I think they can actually claim asylum in Hong Kong before they get here, so they know that they're definitely going to be okay getting here. Then they get on a plane in Hong Kong, and then they come to the UK, and they can stay as long as they fucking like, because they're from Hong Kong. And with Ukraine, again, we said, okay, we're going to have a special deal here where you basically get to come over here. I said Syria earlier. I don't think that's true, actually. I think we had a program back ages ago when the Syrian conflict first started, but we just don't have one anymore. Where, like, I think if you are coming from Syria or Libya or Yemen or Eritrea, I think you're fucked. I think the only way to get into this country is on a little leaky boat coming over the channel. And these fucking arseholes going, yeah, but they're already in a safe country. Why are they leaving that safe country? They've got nowhere to stay in that country, mate. You know, I mean, what do you think? You can just turn up somewhere and you just get stuff? It's not the way it works. And if that's your point of view, how can anyone claim asylum in this country? And that's the question you got to ask these knobheads. Do you want to take any asylum seekers? Do you want to take any? Well, yeah, sure. Okay, so what's the system for taking asylum seekers? Tell me now what system you want for taking asylum seekers. Because I've got a feeling that if you are actually genuine, that you would like, to help people, women and children and men who are, crying out for help. If that's what you really want, if that's what you really want to do, I don't think it is. I think they don't give a fuck. I think they don't want any asylum seekers coming here whatsoever, seeking their asylum. But let's pretend for a moment, let's pretend we're as stupid as they are and we really believe them, that they really do want to help. I think that their solution to the issue of people smugglers putting people into boats and taking them over the water would end up, at the end of a very long argument, being exactly the same as mine, which is we need to have a website and you can apply online on the website. That's it. They need a processing centre in Calais. That's it. There you go. All done. Literally, that's what you need to do. Work with the French, set up a refugee camp where people can apply before they get here. And if their application is turned down, then, you know, there's not much we can do about that. But the reality is that 80% of all applications of people coming across in the little boats are granted because they're genuine fucking refugees, fleeing persecution, fleeing death with their children. Why would they get in a little boat with their children? Because they're fleeing death. Why would they leave France? Because they don't want to live in France. Maybe they don't speak the language. Maybe they don't have family in France. I know that if war broke out and I had to get out of this country, I'll be mad as hell if I wasn't allowed to go to Denmark, where I have family, and had to stay in Germany, where I speak none of the language and I don't really know anyone in Germany. Well, no, I do know someone in Germany. Well, okay. I'll know someone in the Netherlands. Okay. Look, I'm a really bad example because I'm a very well-travelled person, but I could probably find a couch in most countries to sleep on, at least for a few months until it all died down. The point being, you know, I have actual family in Denmark. The idea that if I went through Germany to get to Denmark, then somehow I've committed a crime when I'm an asylum seeker, it just blows my mind. Sorry, I haven't been looking at your chat. Well, Ranger support, yeah. Oh, well, because there's not much comment in the chat, so that's good. I'm off, doing my head in. Pathetic Tory cocksuckers, says Duke Vengeance. Indeed. Fuck this country, it's dog shit democracy. Yeah, indeed. That's my big ginger, says David. Oh, thanks, mate. I thought I'm not looking very slim here, am I? Maybe I'll do that cheat where you kind of make the picture a bit more squished in. Get my moon face a little bit more, you know, get those cheeks. Maybe I'll put a bit of makeup here, you know, so I get like a nice defined cheek thing. Anyway, I want freedom of movement back, passport. Yeah, I want freedom of movement. Indeed. If you need it, my couch is free currently. That's just me and vids. That's very kind of you. Thanks. It's just me and videos. I'm all right at the moment until Catherine's like, fuck off, Graham. You're costing me too much. And you keep making these stupid shows where you just swear all the time. Right. Okay. That's it for Prime Minister's questions. I went on a little bit there about immigration. I'll be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock for more War on Error. So you're getting loads of me now. I'm actually being a bit more regular in my shows and everything. And I'm building up to next year when hopefully, fingers crossed, things will start turning around in terms of my life, my output, but also the country, and the fact that these Tory fucking clowns, who we can't have them for another 2 years. You're right, and I was a bit glib when I used the word glib twice in this broadcast. It's not very good. I was a little bit glib when I said we shouldn't have an election in the middle of winter, and I was just thinking of the election map from 2019 is quite dispiriting. You just see the whole of England is blue, these tiny little bits of, you know, the cities of red, but the vast swathe of England and Wales is blue, and it's just so demoralising. It's just, you look at it and you go, fucking hell, never hold an election in winter with the most unpopular leader of all time as head of your party in Jeremy Corbyn. Less said about that, the better. Anyway, there's some people out there who still think the sun shines out of his wrinkly old cunt arse, but it really doesn't. A cunt arse. I suppose it's one or the other. Anyway, I'm going to fuck off now, so thank you very much. Great, can't wait till the next show. I'll be pleased to entertain, my friend. And in the meantime, oh shit, I pressed the button too fast because I was in studio mode. I'm going to leave you with a list of my patrons and my YouTube members. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to this chat and to this channel in the past. I think you're all amazing and lovely. And I will see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. 9 o'clock in the evening, actually. And until then, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.